It's been a long day, but a good one. It's so quiet here. I love that, don't you, Mark? Mark said, I don't know yet, but I can deal with it. That's what I like to hear, his dad said. I've been telling your mom to stop worrying about you. When things change, you just have to tough it out. And believe me, everything keeps changing. All your life, that's the one thing you can count on. He yawned again as he stood up. See you tomorrow, kiddo. And he gave Mark a pat on the back as he left the room. When they were alone, his mom said, Mark, we're going to have to leave tomorrow afternoon. Will you be okay? I know it's a lot to get used to all at once, and I'm sorry we can't be here for your first day at the new school. But we have to be in New York, and that's that. Mark said, It's okay. Really, I'm glad you came home. And Mark had meant it. He was glad they cared enough to take a cross-country plane trip just to spend a little time with him. Mark knew lots of kids at Lawton Country Day School whose parents wouldn't have bothered. While his dad slept in on Sunday morning, Mark and his mom feasted on fresh-baked Russian pastries, one of Anya's specialties. After breakfast, Mark said, You know about the room where they say the runaway slaves hid, right? I found it. Come on. Together they wound their way up the narrow steps, Mark in the lead. The room was tiny, just big enough for a rope-frame bed and a small washstand. The walls were made of rough pine boards, and the only light came filtering up from the cupboard door below. Mark's mom had to duck to keep from bumping into the low-beam ceiling. Mark ran his hand along the rail of the bed. He whispered, Makes you think, doesn't it? His mom nodded, and then they tiptoed back down the stairs. Sunday afternoon, Mark had gone along for the ride when Leon drove his parents to the regional airport. At the gate, his mom said, We'll try to be back for next weekend, sweetheart. We love you very much, and you have a good first week at your new school, all right? Mark smiled and nodded. Sure thing. That's my boy, and his dad tousled his hair. See you soon, Mark. And that was the end of the first family weekend at the new house. Monday afternoon, Mark got home from his first day at the new school and finally got to set off into the great outdoors. After bundling up under Anya's watchful eye, he had gone out the back door of the garage and headed toward the woods that covered the steep slope to the south and east of the house. When he'd returned huffing and puffing 15 minutes later, he was soaked up to his waist, with snow jammed up under his jacket, his face bright red. Leon was waiting for him in the garage. He pointed at a short stool. Shake off the snow, then sit and catch your breath. Just sit. Now you know that no one can plow through the deep snow, so I will teach you to go on top of it. Leon slipped the toes of his boots into a pair of long snowshoes made of bentwood and rawhide strips. He buckled the straps on the bindings, stood up, and said, First, you watch. Leon shuffled out the front of the garage. He took a few quick strides beyond the snowbanks to the left of the driveway until he was walking where the snow was deep and unpacked. See? A heavy man, but he only sinks a few inches. He stopped to make sure Mark was watching. Mark was on his feet, all eyes. Moving again, Leon said, Forward, always forward. Keep your legs apart, so, to keep the shoes from banging. And keep the tips up and the tails dragging, just so. Leon came back into the garage. Now, your turn. Bending down, he laced Mark into the bindings of a smaller pair of snowshoes. These are Anya's. I think too big for you. Still, you can learn. And Mark did. After losing his balance once, and after letting the toes dig in and trip him a couple of times, Mark had gotten the feel of staying centered on the webbed platforms. With Leon behind him, Mark went back past the tracks he'd left as he had floundered through the 4- and 5-foot snowdrifts on the east side of the house. Look, he shouted. It's like I'm floating. When his mom called that night to ask how his first day of school had been, Mark said, Fine, but you know what? I learned how to snowshoe today. Leon taught me. Anya's snowshoes are a little too big, but Leon said I did great. His mom said, That's wonderful, dear. And school was all right? Were the teachers nice, and the children? School was fine, Mom. So can I get my own snowshoes? Of course, sweetheart. If you can't find what you want in Whitson or Attleboro, you can shop online. I'll tell Anya it's all right when I speak with her. Get all the gear you need, dear. And that's why Mark and Leon had driven to Scotty's Sporting Goods in Attleboro Tuesday after school. The snowshoes Mark chose weren't made of bent maple and twisted rawhide like Leon's. These were high-tech, state-of-the-art snowshoes made of ballistic nylon stretched over tempered aluminum frames. Both of Mark's snowshoes together weighed less than one of Anya's.